Welcome back to another pregnancy video. This one is second trimester. First doesn't have to be the worst, but maybe second can be the best.
It's supposed to be. That's what they say. It's for sure. The second trimester is supposed to be a very enjoyable time.
Yeah. Alright, let's talk about second trimester of pregnancy. I am near the end of my second trimester, as you can probably start to see. Wild actually getting a noticeable bump in people asking. It's such a weird feeling. I feel like pregnancy has been so intimate, at least in the first trimester and the beginning of the second. And now you're at the point where people notice and they're asking questions, and it just takes a whole nother curve to the journey. But I want to paint something off of what I said in the first trimester video. People told me, hey, first is absolutely terrible, second you'll have energy, it'll be absolutely amazing. And my mentality, I had so much faith going into the first trimester, and honestly I saw how that faith was amplified by things God was speaking to me, the way that I just even mentally prepared. And then second trimester, I kind of like lessened up. I was like, oh, this one's gonna be good. I don't have to do anything besides just keep being pregnant for this one. And there was actually a huge drop. I'm not even kidding. Within the first 2 weeks of my second trimester, I started getting heartburn. I threw up a couple times. It was, I was like, okay, maybe a little road bump, we're good. So what I saw is when I went in with faith, I was met with faith. When I went in without anything, I felt very much less equipped. And this is really true. If you're going into whatever stage of pregnancy, even just thinking about having kids, like if you have that fear mentality, oftentimes what you prepare for is what you're going to be met with. So if you prepare for fear, usually fearful things happen. If you prepare for faith, usually faith happens. I just didn't really prepare for anything in the second trimester, and I had, a pretty average experience. This wasn't terrible at all, but then I saw, as I reminded myself, like, hey, this is a journey that I got to pair with God. He spoke so much to me in the first trimester. What's different between the second and the third? And even if the second is good, why not make it great? Why not have God touching each and every month of this journey? And so since then we have seen, mostly I have seen a big difference, and it's really just stretched me in ways that the first trimester did differently. So I just want to put that out there. I hope you have an amazing second trimester, but don't go into it with fear or without faith.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think any situation that we enter without faith, like you said, we're going to notice a completely different result. And I love what has happened kind of recently is we went through a time period where we felt a little hesitant and a little scared for his safety. And I remember we were both laying in bed, and I watched as fear started to try to take over us. And we just began to speak and pray over him in that moment. And it was like the fear went out of the room. And then the next day we kind of heard, as we were watching the progression videos, that he would be able to hear noises and songs. And so that morning we got into the car the next morning, we just started declaring and praising God with worship music, and we just watched as the spirit of fear lifted from that, and the faith came right back in. And so I think that's really important in the second trimester.
Yeah, in any stage of pregnancy or just being a parent.
Yeah, in any stage, is if you allow fear, like it will come in and it will try to completely hold you captive. But if you begin to yield to what God is saying and begin to start speaking his word, it completely shifts the atmosphere. And I felt like we saw that.
So faith has been the pinnacle for us each and every single month, week, day, throughout pregnancy. But there are some special things that happen in the second trimester that I want to share with you guys, get you excited, help you prepare if this is your first time as well. My favorite would probably be getting to feel him. I remember when I was about 14, 15 weeks, I laid over on my side at night and I felt something. I was like, I think that was a kick. I think I just felt him. But then it didn't really have anything constant after that. So probably around, 18 weeks?
I think so.
I began to feel him, and people always say, it feels like butterflies.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm nervous, I have to go to the bathroom, or if I'm feeling a baby. But there is a distinct shift. You'll be able to tell. You'll be able to feel the consistency with it. And that was one of my favorite. And then now that I'm 22 weeks.
Yeah, so I finally actually recently got to feel him. It was the other night. We pray over him every single night. We pray that just a couple things that we always are speaking over him and believing for him. But I remember I would put my hand on to pray, and I was like halfway through the prayer, and I feel something just hit my hand, and I was like, what was that? And like I watched Christian like kind of jump because it was a bigger kick. And I was like, that was him, was it? She's like, that was him. And so that was the first time I got to feel him as a dad, which was really cool because I feel like up until this point, it's been, you know, him and Christian's gotten to feel him. And I think that's such a beautiful thing within pregnancy that the mother does get to get, is she gets to get that bonding experience where it's kind of just you and the baby. But I am excited that I got to be a part of it a little bit.
And I was so excited for you to feel it. We actually tried a few times. Yeah. You'll notice this. You're like, okay, he's kicking, feel. Oh, wait, he stopped. Okay, oh, no, he stopped. So it was really neat. It was a moment we weren't even trying to capture that. It just happened, especially when we were praying for him. Another highlight that you get in the second trimester, this is more for the moms, is I feel like once my belly began to stretch, it was more like your ribs opening and all these things where it didn't fully look like a round bump that you're used to. So I was like, I don't see the baby. I know I'm gonna have to get bigger. I'd like it to be like a cute bump because right now I feel like I'm just expanding like an Oompa Loompa. You were really nice. You're like, this is part of it. I was like, I know, but if I'm getting big, I want it to be cute. I want a cute bump. Second trimester, it rounds out. It starts becoming a bump. You begin to take shape and you begin to see like there's actually a human being in there, and it's one of the most special feelings. Another highlight in second trimester is you are getting closer to the finish line. You cross the halfway point, so mentally it is pretty exciting. You think, okay, I've done this half the time. I can do this the second half. You have a little bit more energy, I would say, and hopefully you didn't have a lot at all in the first trimester, but less nausea. Nothing like that. I switched from eating before I got out of bed to now in the second trimester, I would just get up, get some water, have my stomach more settled, and then eat. It's a practical tip. Hopefully that helps you out and saves you from some heartburn. But you are now in the stage where you get to start picking out names and picking out nursery items. It's really excited because it becomes a lot more real for you and your spouse.
Yeah, I agree. And this is the great thing about this is our first time going through all this, so we don't want to sound like experts through it. We just, because we definitely are nowhere close. We're not even on the scale. But we're on the scale.
I'm on a growing scale.
She's on the scale. But we're learning through it, and we're just sharing our experience through that. And so your experience is probably going to look completely different. You know, what worked for us is going to, you know, not work for you, or something else completely different. But the things of praying over your child and feeling him, like those are all things that are for sure going to happen. Something that I would really encourage you guys to do. I believe that as we have kids, like as we go into the future, that's been always one thing that I'm like, okay, man, how do I parent kids in terms of what did my parents do well that helped me? Like what things, like specific things do I need to take on? And I'm like, I don't think I really need to necessarily worry so much about that. I think as I begin to pray over my son, I know that God is going to develop the heart in with me to be a very intentional father to him, and same with Christian, to be an intentional mother to him, that will raise him godly, that will, you know, learn how to have patience and all of these things. For that is that the prayer really does work. So I want to make sure that people are leaning into that. I know we stressed that for the first trimester, but then just continuing on. I mean, I can't count on how many nights we've gone to sleep, like on one hand, where we haven't prayed for him. Like it's been very few.
It gives you a godly confidence too, where it's okay, I don't have all the answers, but I know I'm in the right direction for obtaining those. But another thing that I would do is, you are going through so many changes, and I think that a typical response would be, well, I'm doing all this work, you can't relate. Some guys just honestly not knowing like how to care for their wives, so they don't try. Like, you are always asking, like, do you need anything? How can I help? And we're sharing in this journey together. So make sure you're using this time not just to prepare for the one on the way, but preparing yourself as a couple, like leaning into it. And doing the same thing with friends. Honestly, I have some single friends that obviously haven't had kids yet, but they are excited with me. I'm still sharing updates because it builds your friendship, but we have a few other friends too that have also been expecting at the same time. So be sure to keep connecting with your spouse, your friends, your family. Like, don't feel like you have to take this on all by yourself, because then, you know, the hard times might be extra hard, and we were made for community, and I think especially in this time.
Yeah, something for me as a husband and kind of being on the sideline and getting to kind of cheer my wife on through this process is I've just got to see a new facet of my wife that I haven't seen before. And I'm kind of seeing her step into the motherhood role that she's always been, you know, wanting to be in and desired to be in for us to have kids, but in such a beautiful way. The things that I was like, oh man, okay, that's going to be interesting when we get there. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's handling it with such grace. And I think that's really been something that's really reassuring to me. And so I'd say for husbands, as you are maybe coming into this season, like don't stress about what will this season look like or how are we going to navigate those things. Understand that those things are going to come and you guys are going to walk through it with such an amazing grace because you guys are led by the Spirit, and ultimately God is the one that is directing you, that is giving you guidance. And so leaning into that has been so amazing for me to watch in my wife, because I don't get to feel him every single day and things like that, but she does. She feels the symptoms and all those things, and she leans into that so beautifully.
Yeah. Well, you've taken that role of championing me really well, and like almost, yes, cheerleader, but also like a coach. I think just if you think you're on the sidelines, you're going to act like you're on the sidelines, but if you know, hey, I'm pivotal to this experience too, you get to take that role. So guys, help her out, tell her she's beautiful, champion her, rub her feet, make her food, like be a part of this process, because it makes it all better. Like, we do need you.
Yeah.
I need you. I love you.
Okay.
See, these are some of the symptoms he carries. He's like, oh, I gotta get up. Or, oh, I'm craving this. You said you were bloated for a while. What else have you? He's trying to be so in tune in the game that he's like, I'm going to empathy coach. I take on what you take on.
Well, who doesn't want to have cravings for gummy bears and things like that? So I'll take that.
Ooh, I'm craving like mushrooms covered in hot fudge and... Yeah, you want to empathize?
Well, I hope this has been helpful for you guys, and I hope you guys got something out of our experiences and what we've got to navigate and just kind of share around. This has been so much fun for us as new parents. It's all, of course, new experiences, new things, and so it is a fun season for us and has its challenges, but ultimately just really exciting. So hopefully you guys got something out of it, and thank you guys so much for staying with us, watching through, all those people that have subscribed, continuing our journey. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. We would always love to hear from you guys. So please leave a comment down below. Let us know maybe some of your stories, some of maybe more experienced mothers can share some of their helpful tips as well through
Some
second
baby
trimesters.
name predictions, maybe?
Yeah, maybe baby name predictions would be good. But we love you guys, and we'll see you next time.